Hi everyone, my guest today is John Mark Staude from Riverside Resources. I always like talking to you. How are you, sir?
Great. Super. Have been together with you in Frankfurt and now
Yeah?
doing this interview follow-up. It was great to be in Frankfurt. What a wonderful show.
Yeah, last week it was the Deutsche Goldmesse. And I also have to mention to you that my subscribers were actively asking for this interview. They would really like to know your story, and they were asking now, when do you do this interview with him, and can we expect this? And so that's a positive sign. And I really wish you success. So if I can share this with 10 people, I'm happy. So here are also people who don't know anything about Riverside. So for the beginners, would you like, could you please explain us what do you do? How do you generate value? You have also an OPM model. What does this mean?
Yeah, so what we do is we do mineral exploration. So
Yeah.
economic geology is the study of ore deposits, of deposits of mineralization that could make money. What we do is we explore to find them. We find them in three ways. First off is we go in the field ourselves and do the exploration. Secondly, we get partners, other people's money funding to do that. And the third is we generate projects that we own and then have royalty interests. Whereas other people explore, we retain the royalty interest. So all of this is around for shareholders to profit, for the corporation to grow and do well, and for all the people as stakeholders to also have a successful outcome through the discovery of resources where we work in the economic and careful, environmentally sensitive with community development of those. That's what we do.
Okay. And to do this, where are these projects coming from?
So we use databases, we use a lot of scientific work, we
Mhm,
compile historic data. We try to build on past exploration and
mhm.
past compilations. Myself, for example, in the country of Mexico, we have worked for over 3 decades, starting off in the late 80s, and have found deposits there that have become large mines, and that's been a lot of fun. We also work in the United States. Today, we have royalties with Riverside in Arizona, for example. As I mentioned, that's where I did my doctoral studies in researching copper and gold. We have big portfolio in Ontario, and that's part of what we're developing into yet another new company out of Riverside
Mhm.
called Blue Jay Resources. So what we do
Okay.
is we generate projects in jurisdictions, put them together, form corporations, and in this case, as we have done in the past, our intention will be to spin that out to shareholders. We work in finally in western part of Canada, in British Columbia. And British Columbia is a giant, good province where we're doing rare earth elements. Just today, I'm working on yet another news release about that before this time we're right now, and also on gold in British Columbia. So we work in many places. That's what we do as an exploration team. And as a shareholder, you're exposed to all of that simply by holding a share in Riverside. We're a public company. So buying shares, owning shares as a public company, you're exposed to all those different opportunities and upside from the company of Riverside.
Okay, thank you. And the company would be not the same without the team, one of the most important aspects. Could you please expand on the team and your expertise?
You know, I was just looking at LinkedIn and I was so cool. This morning I got up and I was looking through and we have 50, 60, 70, 80 people that have all mentioned that they've worked with Riverside as a team. And yet we've also had core people that have worked with us for 17 years since we founded Riverside. First off, it's about geologists having a key vice president in exploration, Freeman Smith, who right now is in the field in the snow today. As the snow is hitting him in Ontario, he is out there progressing with our spin out company. Or we have top people doing the GIS, like Ben Connor, who I was working with today as well, working on the graphics for our news release. We have an IR team that works to communicate to investors. We have a financial team with our good CFO, Robert Scott, who's been with me, and I was communicating with him. That question makes me realize how much we are a team. We work together all the time. Earlier, I was communicating with our Mexico managers, our Mexican team, where they're working today in the field, following and doing the drilling at Cecilia project. All of that is going on. And so owning Riverside, you get exposed to all that team simply by owning shares in Riverside.
Okay, okay, thank you. That's great. So it's not your first rodeo, just since last week. And of course, you mentioned Cecilia. Could you please mention a few of your flagship projects and explain why are those special? What is the value there? Just a few. You have multiple, and I would like to urge people to also look at your presentation because you explain it really well. I will also show some parts of it. But if you could explain.
So if you look at our corporate presentation, the first thing you'll see is about Ontario. Ontario has now been put into a new corporation, a subsidiary called Blue Jay Resources. Blue Jay Resources controls 3 assets with our flagship project, Pichette. Pichette, if you follow our social media, go to Twitter, go to LinkedIn, you'll see us putting out photos and videos of the work we're doing at Pichette right now. News flow coming, really excited about the portfolio in Ontario. Secondly, you'll see us with news flow about British Columbia and our projects there in rare earth elements with the Revel project and another project coming in the news release right now is exciting. And then you'd see about drilling and work that's going right now in Mexico. Our flagship in Mexico, the Cecilia project and the Union project, provide us with high-grade gold, good potential, working with OPM, other people's money, full funding with Fortuna Mining. They've done the due diligence, they're fully funding it, and we're the operators. It's really great for our shareholders. And the Union project, drive-up access, former mining operation that we own as Riverside, has great potential for a large discovery. So if you look at our portfolio and you look at our website, you look at our corporate presentation, you'll see information about each of those projects.
Okay, okay. We will do that. And you mentioned also the royalty, that you keep royalty, and of course we like the royalty model. What royalty value do you have already, and what do you plan in the future?
Royalties are so important. And when we founded the company Riverside, I always wanted to make sure that we had royalty interest. Royalty is where you have the right to receive something and you don't have to put more money up anymore. So you get a free ride and a percentage, in our case, of a net smelter royalty. So net of costs, we'll get generally 2% of the value of what a corporation gets paid back to us as a company. That's great, and it helps us sustain and potentially to pay back dividends to the shareholders. So right now we have royalties, and you can see in our corporate presentation a table. And when you look at that table, one of the ones in the table you see is the Capitan silver. Riverside has a 1% royalty on Capitan. And of course, we dividended the shares of Capitan to the Riverside shareholders. That was at a 4-to-1 ratio, similar to what we intend to do now again. So if you buy Riverside right now, you would get exposed to those different opportunities, and Riverside retains a royalty. A second royalty that we have is on Arizona Metals. There, Riverside spun out the project Sugarloaf Peak. We kept a 2% net smelter royalty. Riverside still has that. Riverside received the shares of Arizona Metals, and that helped us to keep going, where today we only have 75 million shares issued in the company. We've never rolled back, and we've been going for 17 years. We have over $5 million cash in the bank. Very few companies can do that. We do that through selling our projects. A third project we sold is the project to Fresnillo, the world's largest silver company, silver producer, and Riverside sold the Tajitos to them, kept a 2% net smelter royalty on the key mineral claims in the center of the future development project of Tajitos mine. So for us, the royalty of a 2% on Tajitos. So you can see in this table here of royalties how wonderful it is to own Riverside. So owning a share in Riverside, you have that royalty interest, the royalty portfolio. Riverside's in a great position to go forward as a company.
Yeah, okay. And you explained it well as well also, but is there some public information that we can find the value of these royalties? I mean,
So the royalties are, yeah, so there's no public information about royalty value. However, it's fairly easy for a shareholder to do the calculation.
Mhm.
Looking at Capitan mine, for example, Riverside having a 1% and Capitan having a resource already calculated at
Yeah,
500,000 gold resource ounces inferred in a 43-101, but also the drilling of Capitan that's now tripled the size, tripled the volume on their website, gives you a sense for how large that resource easily could be. And so looking at the value of that resource, and you say, okay, Riverside has a 1% value of that, where Riverside doesn't have to pay any more capital is very good value. What
yeah,
is the value of a 1 million ounce gold resource? Many 1 million ounce companies say it's $50 an in situ ounce as a calculation, that'd be worth $50 million. So Riverside having 1% of that would be wonderful value there and type of thing. And then so that would be an example. Then we look at the resource at Tajitos, where Riverside has a 2% net smelter royalty. And so the value of a 1.8 million ounce or 1.3 million ounce at Tajitos, where you can look at what Fresnillo has published and done work and how they're progressing in that, and look at their annual reports from Fresnillo and say Riverside has a 2% net smelter of that. So you can begin to add those together and get some ideas. Or if you look at the cash flow, companies like Origin Resources, for example, or Origin Royalties, and Riverside has that type of value. So it's really fun to have that as the royalty portfolio.
yeah. Thank you very much for bringing this up because I think the market does not appreciate the value of everything what you have, what you own, all the assets, and it's like such an environment now, and that is also one reason why your company is transitioning now. Could you please explain what does this mean? Um, you mentioned Capitan Silver, and then the next one is coming, the Blue Jay Resources. What is the story here? Why do you do this? How do you do this?
We
Oh,
do these different spin outs and transitions through a structure of a plan of arrangement. A plan of arrangement is a really good way because generally it's not taxable in most jurisdictions. It's a share split. Many companies do share consolidations. We're talking about a share split, 2-for-1, or even in this case, 5-for-1. So 5 shares or 4 shares, those type of things from Riverside, and shareholders getting 1 share of the new company is wonderful value. We do that to get the asset. For example, our Blue Jay Resources, for example, would be dividended over to shareholders. So owning a share in Riverside, you'd get shares of the spin-out company, Blue Jay. That allows Blue Jay to then capitalize with additional capital to come in and do the exploration and development, and Riverside to retain a royalty. So Riverside retains a royalty, the shareholders prosper, and the assets get forwarded more rapidly through the funding in the project. Whereas Riverside ourselves, we don't have to keep funding the project. We get a free carry along. It's a win-win-win, a really great structure. It's called a plan of arrangement.
okay, that's fantastic. And the next one, the Blue Jay, is can be expected next January. Am I
It
correct?
can be expected in the coming year, yes. So in
Okay.
2025, so we're working on it right now, and there are a number of steps. Right now, we'll be going forward, and then we'll take it to a shareholder vote. Of course, the shareholders would approve. No shareholder will say, no, I don't want a free
Yeah.
share of something else. So they'll all approve it. So it makes sense. So then they'll approve it. We'll follow through the process, and then we'll actually do a share split, and we'll do the share put that out, and then we'll do a listing of those shares, and then those shares are called to trade. There are a number of steps, so it's not in January, but it is throughout the year. So right now, buying Riverside right now is the time to get into it. It should escalate in value, the shares, as we get closer to the date and as we make further steps, as we de-risk from our intention of what we wish to do. And this is the eighth time we're doing a new corporation out of Riverside. We have given shares to shareholders in the past, like Capitan. And at
Yep.
Capitan, the shares came out at 20 cents and went up to over 60 cents. So that was a really great win. And Riverside stock had also gone up four times, up to 55 cents from being down at 15 cents. So from where we are right now, the past has really been successful. Don't know if it'll do it the same, but I'm buying shares. I'm really excited about the potential, and I think we're really set up to do well for shareholders. And you're very smart to do this interview today, Peter, and to catch up in Germany together was really helpful.
Yeah, also to me, because I see from my calculations, it is the truth. I see your market cap does not reflect the value what is in the company. So I say the shares are undervalued,
That's the truth.
and
Yeah.
then in my opinion, and then if I'm a shareholder, I just have to sit down and do nothing, and I will get this extra share of you. For next one is the Blue Jay. So yeah, I that's why I told in the beginning that I wish you success because I hope the market will recognize it. Yeah, it should be. Okay, that's very great. What else can we do in the next 1 year or 18 months or what else would you like to do? What are the next steps beside just what you mentioned?
So Riverside, I think two things we're doing is we're expanding in British Columbia. As we complete the great success in Ontario, British Columbia, working in critical metals and in gold is good. The government is supportive, both at the
Yeah.
Canadian level and at the provincial level. Also expanding into Nevada, where I'm comfortable. I come from the United States and we have a good database and knowledge there. So expanding our US footprint. We're already set up with our US corporation. We already have royalties. We've worked in the United States. And so for us, the next 12 months, we'll see more work. In fact, myself, I'm on the road right now, on the way to Nevada, and I'll be there this next week working on projects. And so, as people are going to Christmas holiday parties and doing things, we're in the field working, both in Ontario, but also in creating what's the future. And that's the thing you get with Riverside as a passionate team, a passionate management, but also guys on the ground. And so we're really keen to be able to do that. And so for us, the future is quite bright with additional projects, with additional consolidations and results, also with drill results. The drill results right now coming from Cecilia and also other exploration results coming out of the portfolio that we already own, that we already have permitted, and we've been able to progress in Mexico. So I see that in the next year, we see drill results and exploration results coming from Mexico and growth in Nevada and in British Columbia. That's what we have coming.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds great to me. And what is the optimistic scenario? Uh, just
Well, the optimistic is discoveries, is
okay.
really also the
But
royalties. If there is a decision by Fresnillo to go ahead and build the mine,
mhm.
the re-rating of Riverside would be tremendous.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah, good.
success of announcement of a larger resource and progress at any of our other royalty projects, particularly at Capitan or at the work at Sugarloaf Peak in Arizona Metals, so our royalties would be re-rated. That would be just an amazing transition. And it's all a free ride. It's not priced in the stock at all. So that's all pure upside. A discovery at the drill results. As I say, we have drill results coming, and right now it's not been priced into the stock at all. What could happen with our partner Fortuna having drilled some holes, put in 2,300 meters of core drilling, and Riverside owning that project? So there. So drill results could be another thing that would be hugely upside. And the spin out of Blue Jay. It's not yet priced in. We're talking about it, a time to buy. And I've done it before, but right now people say, well, we'll see. We haven't seen an announcement that is being spun out, and we haven't made that announcement. I'm simply saying this is an intention. But I've held this intention. I've done it 7 times in the past, so I don't think there's a lot of risk. But I have to be very straight. We have to go through the systems and the time it takes to get it all permitted and get it all approved and transaction. But we have a very good CEO in Jordy Mark. I disclosed to the new shareholders, to the market about the CEO. You wouldn't expect us to bring a CEO on board and start paying if you didn't think we were planning to do the distribution. So it all makes sense, but yeah, it's not yet priced in the market. So I see huge chances, multiple different ways for the stock to really take off and go upward.
These are the catalysts. Okay, that sounds great. And so beside the optimistic scenario, I have to ask, what are the risks? What could go wrong, and how do you manage these risks?
In each jurisdiction, there's community risk, and I think that community issues that come up in Mexico, the United States, and Canada are important to manage. And as those come up, we have to resolve them. And we can see environmental concerns coming up in places, and then the community wanting to not see mineral exploration. We are not mining. We don't really have that much risk. We also don't have a lot of liability because we haven't disturbed the ground very much. We're doing exploration. So that's why I built this company, to not have a lot of risk. There's not a lot of money at stake, but those are risks. The second risk is that when we're doing the projects, lack of capital. Luckily, we have $5 million in the bank, no debt. So we really do have good capital ourselves to back up, but we're trying to get other people's money, OPM, to fund the work. If we don't get that other people's money, then we have to use our own, and we're deplete our capital structure. But we haven't had to finance in almost 5 years. We're in a good position now, and we're getting income of almost $1 million a year. So those are some of the risks I think we mitigate in that way, through getting income, a diversified portfolio, through not putting it all on one project, and through having partners funding the work. Really helps us to have the upside, and even with those risks.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned that you did not have to finance, because it is really rare, right?
It is actually
So,
each
yeah.
day. Today, example, I'm getting news releases about financings. Last night, I was getting news releases about financings. It's pretty crazy how many different informations I get, and it is rare. That's why we're doing the structure with Blue Jay, because Blue Jay will finance, but not Riverside. So Riverside share structure does not get diluted. So by owning Riverside right now, you get the shares in Blue Jay and these other things. It's a really great investment, Riverside. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you are a gem across in the market. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's very nice. Is there something else I forgot to mention?
Well, I
What?
really appreciate it, but please come to our website.
Mhm.
That's RIVRES.com. Our trading symbol in the United States is RVSDF, or in Canada is RRI. We do trade on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, but not a lot. But we welcome having any of you reach out to us. info@rivres.com is our email. And we welcome here in the interview here, you can show the different details how to reach us. But we really welcome anyone emailing us, phoning us, or coming to our social media and just asking us questions. We'd love to engage questions and love to engage with shareholders and potential shareholders.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I put the links below the video so people can find it. And I'm also happy that you mentioned that if people have questions, they can ask you. You are open to that. It's also very positive because as yeah, average investors, we find it often that we don't get this treatment, and that's not positive. But you are different, and I also see you are really passionate about this. So it is very good to see, and that's why also as I mentioned, I always like talking to you. So. Okay, I think we covered the basics and what people can expect. If someone has more questions, feel free to contact. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and for being here for us. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, and hope you have a really great day, and look
You too.
forward to any questions
You
people
too.
have.
Yeah, thank you very much.